You're listening to a Brain Stew Fresh Fright review.
What's up, creeps? Welcome to another Epic Film Guys Fresh Fright review. I'm Justin, and on this episode, a very special review. I am once again joined by our friend Jason Rockman of the Rockman Power Hour. Bro, what the fuck is up?
Things are good, man. I'm really glad we were able to talk about this again. We'll talk again, I should say. The last time when we jumped on and talked about Furiosa, I really enjoyed that because it's not every day you can just sit and really like dissect and nerd out with somebody that kind of is on the same wavelength as you. You know, I mean, I do it in my everyday life. You know, I have a few friends that I can talk movies with, but it's nice when I can get a fellow podcaster that really like goes the extra mile, and you guys always do. I mean, you guys are, you know, usually spot on. If you see something before I do, or if I see something before you do, we're usually kind of in the same, you know, like I don't think I've hated something that you've absolutely loved or vice versa. So I always love being able to talk stuff with you because I know you're usually pretty much in my relative same barometer when it comes to how much I like something.
Even if we weren't, it would still be a great conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
I always welcome a great debate, for sure.
Well, that's it. You'll point out stuff sometimes that I'm like, that was kind of shit, or you know what I mean. It's just great to talk to people that are passionate about stuff, and this one in particular, man. Like I gotta tell you, when you posted that you saw it, I couldn't. That's why I reached out to you and like, let me know if you want to do something about this one, because I saw this so long ago that I've been dying to talk to somebody about it, because I had a great conversation outside the theater with like two female journalists that really gave me a lot of insight to the movie after seeing it, and I just wanted to talk to somebody about it. And a couple of people saw it at TIFF a couple weeks ago at Midnight Madness, and you know, but they were friends of mine that were just, you know, it was like quick, like, you know, messenger conversations, like, oh man, fucking ruled, but it wasn't like meat on the bone, let's have a conversation about it. So that's why it was
meat on the bone. Let's chew that shit off, brother.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so, ladies and gentlemen, for the uninitiated, we're going to be talking about Coralie Farge's The Substance, which upon the release of this episode will be released as of the date of this episode. We're going to go full spoiler on this one, but I got a chance to see it early. I'll be going solo on this with Jason because Brady was off doing an excursion, and Jeremy was, I don't know where he was or what he was doing, but I think it was his birthday week. And also, to be fair, our listeners know this shit. When we get invited to certain press screenings, they can be super far away, and they can be in areas that are very difficult to get to. And I just had time off that day, and this trailer looked so intriguing to me, just based on the cast and the director alone. Coralie Farge, rather. Sorry, I'm going to keep fucking that up because that's one of the worst things about me. Revenge, that came out in 2017. I fucking loved that movie. Did you like that one as well?
I haven't seen Revenge, and it's funny when
okay.
So all my friends that love that movie were excited about this one. I haven't seen Revenge. I think I'm just going to buy it at this point, because you know how much I love to buy movies.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Like, dude, I've got stacks of movies here that have been sent to me that I haven't even had a chance to look at. I get so much freaking physical media that I don't know what to do with it half the time. Like I have so much to catch up on. But Revenge is one of the ones that, when this movie was getting all the all the attention and all the advanced hype, people were saying like, you have to see this. So definitely something I want to see. You obviously liked Revenge, right?
I did. Yeah, I really enjoyed it a lot. And at the time I was not aware of Coralie at all. Not on my radar at all whatsoever. It was just a movie that popped up. Someone said, a friend said, hey man, this is right up your fucking alley. You need to check this out. When I did, very impressed. I thought it was a very solid movie, but this, oh my God, The Substance, holy shit. And here I was sitting here thinking, like, a few weeks back, so many movies over and over and over again. I keep getting challenged continuously. The last one was Strange Darling, and I said, I don't know. It might be impossible for anything to top that one for me. And then this comes out and I'm like, seriously, earlier this year on the show, Jeremy and Brady and I were having this conversation. Has this year been good for horror? And holy fucking shit, I can answer with
phenomenal.
Yes. It is a definitive yes as of right now. And we're still only in September, so
I know. And there's more stuff coming. And, like I like Late Night with the Devil. I think it was the beginning of 2024 officially, like in the theatrical. And I love that. I absolutely loved Long Legs. I loved Cuckoo. Did you see Cuckoo?
I did. We reviewed it. Unfortunately,
did you hate it?
Was not
okay,
one
that's
that,
okay.
Yeah, it did not get into my, it wasn't there, but
for me, it was like, there's been so many interesting and like, there's just been some really good stuff this year.
Absolutely.
And I mean, this was, so I told you right before we got on, because we, whenever we talk, we always chat for a little bit just to, because we don't get to talk a lot, and it's like, just shoot the shit and blah, blah, blah. And, but I really, really had an interesting screening experience with this one because I saw it super early. I saw a press screening, and I think there was maybe about 15 journalists, and there was 3 women in the room. And there were, how many people did you see it with? Did you see it with like a full crowd?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
It was probably, it was a very large theater. I think there was maybe 15 people.
Okay. Same as me.
Total,
so
probably
what I'm just curious about this. Were there any points where people just laughed out loud?
Oh, dude. I mean, we'll talk about the third act, and the moment when that landed, absolutely people were cheering and yelling. And I mean, this is all mostly journalists and stuff as well. So
I know but at one point there was so much laughter that I'm like, did this jump the shark? And do people hate this? And do I hate this? Like, is this starting to suck? Like, I didn't know, because I was like, this is a weird and then I realized this is kind of how I felt when I saw The Thing, because The Thing has ridiculous moments.
That's a great comparison.
Well, it's The Thing and it's The Fly, so there's 100%. The Cronenberg, and there's these ridiculous moments where it's almost laughable. But then the conversation that I had after with 2 female journalists, one lady was in her 60s and another one was probably in her like mid 30s. And they were like, and I looked at them, I said, is it just me, or did this movie hit on so many different levels and obviously had so much to say about beauty, but had so much to say about the pressure that women are under to stay relevant by staying beautiful, and how far they go for it. And they were just like that. And then the whole, like, I know I'm getting ahead of it, but like Dennis Quaid's, portrayal of being a fucking asshole studio exec who has no fucking filter, who is just like all about substance, all about superficial, not about substance. And
shrimp too. And shrimp, by the way. Oh, the shrimp. Fuck, oh my God. The fucking shrimp.
It's just so, it's so like that. It's weird because there's only one part of the movie that really bugged me, that took me out of it. And it's so small and so minute, but it really did, that beginning when they're showing the star, like the Hollywood star, and how it gets put in and it's all fresh, and then it gets trampled on after years, and the ice cream, and it was really effective. And then they did one stupid thing, and I'm like, why did you do this? They had snow, and there was a point where it was winter and it gets snowed on, and I'm like, why the fuck would it get snowed on? It's in California. That's the Walk of Fame. Like, the Hollywood Walk of Fame is never snow there. And I didn't understand that. And I'm like, why would you do that? And that, at that moment I realized, okay, maybe they are trying to build this universe that's parallel, and it is supposed to be California, but it's not.
But it's its own thing in its own way, right?
Right. And it was the only thing, and I know I'm being really nitpicky, but it was the only thing where I was like, that was an interesting choice to do that, and not. And I understand you're trying to show that it's weathered over the years and it's cracked and this and that, but that was the only thing I was like, that was weird. But otherwise, man, there was a lot shit. There was shit a lot weirder than there being snow in that opening scene in this movie. I mean, the movie is fucking bananas.
Yeah. For our listeners, And I know a lot of them that are going to listen will probably listen to this before they see the movie because our listeners are just that fucking cool.
Yeah.
But again, the movie is about a fading celebrity deciding to use a black market drug, a cell replicating substance that temporarily creates a younger, better version of themselves. This is a huge return, I got to say, for Demi Moore.
Oh my
Massive
God,
return. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't tell you. I don't remember the last time she was in a movie in theaters. I mean, I know she's done stuff. She's absolutely done stuff, but I don't remember the last time that she did something that was, and especially here, like I just have to go out on a limb right off the bat and say it now. Career best performance or up there with the best that she's done. I thought she was so fucking brilliant in this movie. And you know, she took a lot of chances in doing this, you know, thinking back to, it was like a couple weeks back or something. I was bored while I was working and I threw on Striptease. I was like, man, I haven't watched it since like the 90s. Right. And I watched that movie and she's so bold in that movie. And at the time she got so much flack for the nudity and the subject matter and shit. And I'm like, here she is almost around 30 years fucking later and doing the same shit and goddamn it, crushing it as Elizabeth Sparkle in this movie.
Yeah. She was, and that's the thing. Like I grew up in the time in the golden age of Demi Moore, you know, like Demi Moore was, she was, you know, I saw her in so many things. When there was a time when she was just in everything, you know, like she did G.I. Jane and it was a huge deal. My favorite movie that she ever did was from 1988, The Seventh Sign. Which I don't know if you've seen The Seventh Sign. You'd fucking love it, dude. It's really, really good. It was that weird time, like late 80s, like to early 90s when they had a bunch of these kind of movies that kind of were really, really powerful, but just they didn't really find their audience again. Like The First Power with Lou Diamond Phillips. Like it was kind of that era where there were these movies that were just like dealing with like possession and dealing with like weird religious kind of stuff. And The Seventh Sign is just, it's so good. And she was great in that. But what I love about her is that, you know, she kind of went away. She did a lot and I don't think she had to work for a while, but she was always under the microscope because she was one of those celebrities that you could tell had work done, you know, to kind of stay young and just, but she always took really good care of herself. Like, you know, she
Absolutely.
there was all these things, you know, rumors that she would bathe in Evian water, her and Bruce Willis did so much money, crazy shit. But I've always liked her. And she turned up recently in that documentary Bratz.
Right. Which I watched as well. I think I commented when you posted about it that I was slightly disappointed by it. But, you know, she is part of the Brat Pack, which is a huge deal. I mean, obviously, and I liked her part in the documentary. I just felt like the thing starts and it ends on the same conclusion. And it didn't really have like, there was no, you know, beginning, middle, and ending. It was just like, oh, this is what it was. And then it ends and this is what it was. There's really no, you know.
No, I know. I mean, it wasn't for everyone, but I mean, for me, just the pure nostalgia of it, you know.
Oh, of course. Like, I would have loved had they gotten, you know, the other ones. I'm like, I'm thinking, you know, Anthony Michael Hall, Molly Ringwald. I'm like, they're off doing fucking conventions, you know, Breakfast Club photo ops. And I'm like, you won't do a documentary about the Brat Pack?
I know. I found that a bit weird, but it was just good to see her again. You know what I mean? She looked like she was in a really good place. And I'm sure there was, you know, I'm sure she kind of did that. And, you know, also knowing that she was coming out with a major movie that was going to be huge, you know, because this movie is, the buzz around this movie is like massive, dude. Like everyone I know has seen 100%. Substance. And I'm surprised because again, in that movie, in that screening, I'm like, are people going to love this or are people going to fucking hate it? Because it's so bizarre. And again, and like guys like you and me that are used to seeing body horror movies, that are used to seeing, you know, any numerous of the Cronenbergs directing something weird. We're used to that. We love it. We applaud it. But, you know, Infinity Pool wasn't for everybody, you know? So when I watched this, I got kind of that vibe, like the Infinity Pool vibe in the sense that it's really dark. You know what I mean? Like we're going really dark and the subject matter is like, you think it's really obvious to you where you're like, all right, it's just about beauty, but there's so much more in there, man. And, you know, there were really, really moments where I was like, I don't know where this is going. And I loved it, but it was literally the laughs, the people that were laughing and some of the ridiculousness, like, you know, when she takes that picture of herself when she really becomes that last version of that, the monster. And she takes that picture of herself and she puts it on.
The entire crowd erupted.
Oh,
Absolutely just jumped up. There was a very loud roar, and I was part of that. I mean, I was already like, so I don't always want to be that guy, right? But I've been that guy. I've been that guy a couple times this year. So spoiler alert, Deadpool and Wolverine, if you haven't seen it. But when Wesley Snipes comes out as Blade, I was that guy. I stood up and fucking cheered. I stood up and applauded. And with this movie, it was way more quiet, and it wasn't like a lively crowd, and it was mostly just, just us press members and whatever else, and some journalists and stuff. And I don't want to be like the crazy guy in the room, but I was like, oh, I want to get up and clap at this. Oh, I kind of want to cheer at this, but I don't want to be, I don't want to be that guy. And this movie just has so many moments like that where it takes a different turn than you think it's going to, and then it knocks you over the fucking head so hard, and you're like, whoa, and you feel woozy from it, and you're just like, you're almost like in this euphoric state, like, holy shit, they actually went with that. And then you're just along for the ride. So back to Demi as Elizabeth Sparkle. So she's basically this star of this very popular TV aerobic show. And she's fired right after her 50th birthday. And as she's leaving work, she gets in this car accident after seeing her billboard being taken down. Obviously, they said she's like a previous Oscar winner, so she's been at the top. This is Hollywood 101, where we've had, aging actresses that were huge and popular, and they have to battle to stay even remotely relevant and get jobs, not even being stars, but, it's just known that once you hit 40, that's what I've seen in documentaries from stars over the years, that, there's no room for you anymore. You can't play this. You're not old enough to be a mom or a grandmother yet. So what are you going to play? Now, luckily, that's changed a lot in the last 10 to 15 years, but this movie is pinpointing something that was very specific for a certain time. And so this character, when she's being taken care of for her accident in the car, she receives this very secretive flash drive labeled the Substance, which is promoting this mysterious supplier's invention. And this is a serum that when is injected, it creates a younger, beautiful, almost, I guess, quote unquote, perfect version of this user. Though the two have to remain connected as one single organism. And Elizabeth decides to say, fuck it, I'm going to do this thing. When she does this, this whole process was, it felt so grimy, like her going into this dirty old rough location to like, the door doesn't even open all the way, and she goes to this mailbox and picks up her package. It reminds me of like, basically what our society goes through right now with a lot, this isn't just women, but this is female centric in terms of the story, but men deal with the same thing, especially, I mean, with the different things people are taking to stay in shape or their face to not age. And, she decides to do this thing and inject herself with this unknown substance, which is like kind of a thing that a lot of people in our country do. They're like, oh, fuck it, everyone else is doing it.
I know.
I'll stick that shit in me and not even know if it's going to kill me or not. They don't even care, and that's what happens here. There's a lot to be said about that decision. And I think the movie goes down that road where it's like, especially the fact that it's like this, very bright colored green. It's almost the same color as my hair. This like very fluorescent green color in this thing.
It's like it really gives Reanimator vibes.
Absolutely.
Like it's totally like Reanimator. It's like that same kind of thing. So I think there's probably I think whoever made this movie, and we know who made the movie, I think they really, really had there were a lot of nods to a lot of different movies that they probably grew up on. And there was like Reanimator in there. There was, like we mentioned before, there was The Fly, there's The Thing. There's a lot of nods to a lot of those kind of movies in this.
Absolutely. So when her character does this, it's this really disgusting birthing scene of like this younger form basically ripping through her back, like just ripping out of her and basically being like, this isn't a child. It's like a full grown younger adult. And that younger adult is played by Margaret Qualley, and holy shit, another standout knockout fucking performance here, man. I remember
What was she? What has she been in before? Have you seen her in anything else?
The past couple years, she's been crushing it. She was in Drive Away Dolls, Kinds of Kindness, just recently.
Okay.
So she's, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, she played Pussycat. And when I was
I was looking at her and I'm like, where do I know her from? But yeah,
so much stuff she's done. What's interesting to me is I'm thinking all the way back to 2016 to one of my favorite movies of all time, Shane Black's The Nice Guys. She is that young girl, Amelia Kuttner, who is the daughter of Kim Basinger's character in that movie, who's on the run because her mom is a quote unquote criminal, if you will.
Right.
And ever since then, I had an eye on her as a performer because she has a very specific look. Her acting style is very unique. And to see her here, again, pairing these two together with Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley together, just perfect blend, perfect chemistry. Because they're basically, the thing that I thought was interesting about this, Jason, is that it's not like a twin. It's also not like, I didn't take it as it's supposed to be a younger version of Demi specifically. It's just a younger human thing that comes out of you. Yeah.
And it's exactly, it's not, it doesn't look like her. They didn't do it. They didn't try to make them, it resembles her.
Sure.
But it's smart that they didn't do that. Cause if it would have been like, oh, let's CGI her to look younger and have her be like, oh my God, like, wow, Elizabeth, you look so much younger. Like that would have been a little, but I love the fact that she's just her own person. But the idea that, it's birthed out of her back, it rips out of her spine. And then, there's the sew up kit.
Yeah.
And the way they do it is almost like when you open up an iPhone or like Apple packaging, or that new packaging for anything you buy. Like,
right?
Let's say it's a Kickstarter campaign and you bought like a new pair of headphones, and it's very much that sleek packaging so all I kept thinking about was like, wow, they're really putting a lot of confidence into somebody to be able to sew up a fucking wound but then I'm like, okay, wait a minute. You're not in that world. Remember, like,
that's definitely trying to, I mean, when I thought that moment too, I was like, wait a minute, this thing just came out of her. Now it already knows how to,
I know.
You just have to go with it, I think. But to your point though, about the branding of the substance stuff, I love just the whiteness of it. It reminded me of Apple stuff with the big, bold black letters. It's just very bold. It's very to the point. I loved every bit of that because as being a branding person and stuff, I was like, oh, that's just genius. I just love everything about the way that it looks and the way that it's presented. And I also love the idea that so these two beings have to coexist. They each get 7 days and they have to feed the other one. There's like a feed bag, basically.
Yeah, it's so fun. Like they really as much as they really did think of everything in terms of what the characters would like. It was very, and the idea that this is all you got to do, but you got to respect the 7 days.
Has to be 7 days.
Has to be 7 days. Can't be more. But then, we start to see what happens because we've got two characters that very much want something out of this. We have Elizabeth and then we have this new character who she's birthed, who's like, I'm kind of liking this, So when that happens and at one point something's going to happen because somebody is not going to like being asleep for 7 days. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. And that comes back to Elizabeth, who, when she is awake and she has her 7 days, she's almost like like suicidal. She can't stand it. She wants to get back to that. And she's becoming jealous of her other half, if you will. And something that needs to come out that we need to talk about as well is the movie is very forward in terms of how sexy it is, like over the top. Yeah. And it's eye candy for sure. And it's literal, it's blatant, but at the same time, it's not meant to evoke the feelings that a lot of general moviegoers will take from it. I think that, because I caught myself going, whoa. We see both of these lead actresses nude on more than one occasion, and that's just portrayed as like a normal thing. But major props, as you said earlier, especially to Demi Moore, who, once again, we're talking about 30 years ago, she was in striptease. She bears it all, man, and she doesn't give a shit. And she is going out on a limb and she's championing, the 50+ woman in Hollywood and just saying, this is what we look like, even if we do.
61. Bro.
She's 61? Oh my God.
61. Yeah.
Holy shit. I was okay.
Yeah,
So
you just
whoa.
officially turned into a gilf hunter.
Oh my God, dude.
She's stunning. She's
Stunning
absolutely
though.
stunning.
Stunning.
And
And
to the point where as much as Sue is attractive and she's supposed to be the younger, more attractive one, man, I was just like Demi Moore. Like, wow.
well, of course. Again, it might be a generational thing. I actually,
Yeah.
being a guy, because we're guys, whatever it is, whatever. I thought they were both
Beautiful.
stunning women.
Beautiful.
I loved
Beautiful.
it.
Yeah.
There's obviously they're both fitness performers, and me being a huge fitness guy and a gym guy or whatever, like a huge part of that today, and it's always been, I think, especially since the 80s, because Elizabeth's character. See, I didn't really understand like what time frame this is supposed to be, because her fitness show looked very 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, it did. And I didn't like, I thought there'd be giveaways, and there were some cars and motorcycles and stuff. So, I mean,
it had like new stuff, but old stuff too, right?
Yeah, it was a weird, that's what I mean, that world. And that's what I realized right away when with the snow on the Hollywood Star, I'm like, okay, we're not necessarily, and then some of this, like you think you're in LA, but you're not necessarily in LA. But then, when she's walking to go get her package, and she's clearly like walking on Venice, and then she gets into a seedy part of Venice probably, right? Or but yeah, you're not sure. It's like in an alternate reality or an alternate universe, but it's very familiar, like it doesn't necessarily, but you figure it's probably taking place in California,
It's really, I mean, it has that vibe to me. I mean,
oh yeah. I mean, I don't think just the way she's in the Hollywood Hills, and then there's that, and the other, like when she's in her incredible apartment that that Elizabeth has, and then the billboards, like when she's there, waiting her 7 days out, not taking advantage of her 7 days, but
just sitting there, force feeding herself, and
every time she's there, as she gets, as she's longer away from her younger self, and she's just kind of forced to be, living, and while the beautiful self is sleeping, she just gets more and more destructive, and that's also, I found that was a parallel, or there was a big message in there where a lot of people that take the easier, softer way, in today's society, where they will take like a fat burning drug, or they'll take Ozempic, or they won't put the work in. They won't necessarily do the hard work. When they start to get the results, they'll slack off, and they'll be like, well, I got a tummy tuck, or I had lipo, so now I can eat more. It's like, no, you do that to give yourself the advantage so you can stay like that. But people go the opposite way. And I've seen that so many times where people will be like, well, I had liposuction, so now I can eat again. But like, no, you had liposuction to remove those fat cells that you'll never get rid of.
You have to keep it up. You have to keep up the process, man.
That's it. Because otherwise you're going to create more of them. But if you stop eating fat, and you don't create more of those fat cells, and you get them taken out of you, then they're not, because what happens with fat? I mean, they shrink, right? Yeah. But they get big again but if you have them removed, then you don't have them there. So there's all that. And then, at one point she's just eating so much shit, and just like gorging and not caring. And then,
so it has this reverse effect in the sense, right, that she thinks she's going to be happy because she went through this process, but she's actually jealous of her other half, the other part of her that's living more. She's sexier, she's in shape, and she takes the job, which I thought was obviously very convenient. She walks in the door and takes the job that Elizabeth Sparkle had. She just walks in, hey, my name is Sue.
And then she says that, I got to travel. But I have to go help my ailing mother.
My poor ailing mother.
So I could do 1 week on, 1 week off. And Dennis Quaid, who plays that, he's like, yes, you could do it. Like after kind of toying with her. But it's funny because it looks like I think the first cycle, the 1 week on, the second weekend, all that seems to work. But then there's that thing where she stays a little longer, and it starts to have an effect on Demi. On Elizabeth and Demi's character, and it
starts with her finger. It starts with her finger.
You see that fucking one.
It looks like a witch finger,
and it's just like, oh man,
deteriorating.
So that happens. Then the next time. But what I really loved was that when she's leaving, I think when she had gotten fired, or I think it's when she had originally gotten fired, she bumps into that old guy from high school. and he gives him, he's like, oh, he gives her the number, and he's like, oh, I'd like to maybe we get together sometime. She's like, yeah, whatever. And then she does it to get validation once she's gone through this cycle of feeling like shit because she's not getting attention anymore.
And it goes to show something, Jason, because she is still, at this point when he sees her when she leaves work, a star. She's still well known. She's not like, she's still an Oscar winner. She's still well known. She's still very wealthy. Yeah, but she's willing to take a chance on Joe Schmo that went to or high school rather with her. Just because she that's how bad she feels about herself and her age and her looks. Yep. She needs validation from some random dude in high school that had a thing for her back in 10th grade. Yeah. That's just how bad she's off.
And that's another thing that, you'll talk to. I know a lot of people that have dated famous people, and they'll always tell me, you think that this person wouldn't want to date you or talk to you. And you're like, no, man, they just want, a lot of the time, there's two sides of it. Sometimes they just want to be with someone normal who isn't after them for that and for what they represent. Or sometimes they're just so insecure that they're like, they don't think they can do better. Do you know what I mean? It's a weird thing. And performers, any kind of performer, like, even us as podcasters or whatever, we have insecurities. We're performers. We do this because we have things we have to say, but we also have egos that need to get stroked to a certain degree, or that, there's a part of it that we all love attention. We all love validation. And I think humans in general love that. So it's interesting when she does that and she decides to go on the date with this guy. And that scene, I mean, what'd you think of that scene?
Oh, dude, the scene is, it's heartbreaking. Man. There's so much to say about that scene. So she says she's going to go. She's all excited. She's all dolled up. And in my opinion, from my viewpoint, she looks stunning. Gorgeous. Amazing outfit, her makeup, her hair, everything. And then as she's walking out the door, she sees the reflection of Sue's billboard in the door. And she goes back to the bathroom and takes all of her makeup off, just very violently rips it all off, wipes it all off. And then puts it back on, and then takes it off, puts it back on. And it's this whole process. And then she eventually decides to like not go.
Yeah.
And it's this like overhead shot of her sitting on the edge of her bed in the darkness with just a little bit of light gleaming through the window. Yeah. And the phone is just vibrating. And that poor guy who thought he was getting a date for, with Elizabeth Sparkle. He's like, are you okay? I'm here. Are you running late? But that shot, it's pure sadness. It's heartbreak. And it's also really that feeling that is so relatable, I think, to any of us when you are either going through something or you're not feeling confident in yourself. Like, I think anyone can relate to that, but especially this character who at one point in her life was viewed as this huge thing, this huge deal, right? Gorgeous, beautiful. She's a fitness instructor. She's also this Oscar-winning actress. To come down and be that little in comparison has to feel like absolute shit. And you feel it in that moment and you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's some heavy shit right there.
It really is. And that, and it just shows you how alone she's become and how, you get to a point where, and this has always been the thing that scared me about any kind of cosmetic surgery or any kind of procedure. You can't undo some of that stuff. And I've always felt for people because they're, it's all a byproduct of the pressure that we put on people that are in the public eye. And it just trickles down through our phones and through everything that we consume, like this pressure to be perfect, to be beautiful, not to love yourself. And that's why I kind of love what's been happening in the world as of late, where people are just being more accepting. There's different beauty standards. And I love the fact that people will own it and be like, hey, I may not look a certain way anymore, but this is who I am. And I love when people can embrace the changes, because your body changes over the years. And, as you get older, things change, things sag, things look a little bit different. And it's really hard on women. It's extremely hard on women. And they're just under the microscope, constantly. And it's beautifully portrayed in this, man. Like, it really, really is. And that's what I was saying to you. Like, I had a really interesting perspective walking out of the movie and being able to talk to two women that really were affected by this movie a lot differently than I could ever be, because, I had a woman that was 60 plus, that was a movie reviewer that's older. And I've always said, like, she's just so pretty. Like, she's a really pretty lady. But she's older, she's like probably, I think now she might be, I think she might be 62 or 63, and she's been reviewing movies forever. And she just looked really affected by the movie. She's like, and I went and spoke to them because all the guys were talking. They were laughing. Oh, man, I was fucking running. And I just like I just gravitated towards them. And the discussion we had was probably so much different than the discussions that were had by the other
Absolutely.
guys, applauding the other things like the creatures and all this other stuff. And they were just like, that movie hit on so many levels, and that was so emotional for us to watch that, because that is exactly what women go through. And it was portrayed so perfectly. And I was like, wow. And that's when I realized this movie had so much more going for it than what people will take at face value if they don't understand that. Do you know what I mean?
I think, and I would love to say that I will give the general audience some credit and think that I think that people will pull from this some of the right ideas. I hope that they do.
I hope.
I mean, obviously, like I said earlier on, you have a very young Margaret Qualley. She's skimpy outfits the entire movie. There's with her workout stuff, close up shots of body parts and stuff. It's very intentional for sure. Like in order to receive a response from the audience member.
Oh yeah.
And to the point of that character of Sue as well, she's objectified as well. So she goes in and she's gorgeous and she's pretty and young and has a great body, and they immediately want her, and then they immediately want to capitalize on her. And it's the same thing. It'll be a deadly cycle. And when she's aged out, they'll do the same thing to her. And you can even see it with her, that she's playing it. I think again with Margaret's performance, that you can see it in her eyes that she's partly unsure as well. Like you could see that even though she's gorgeous and a stunning woman and the perfect version of what beauty is considered, I guess, in 2024 for most people. She's still unsure of herself. There's that look in her eyes I noticed a few times where I was like, oh my God. So it doesn't matter how beautiful you are, how perfect your body is. There's still going to be insecurities. It doesn't even matter. So the whole movie captures all of those elements perfectly. And as the movie moves forward and this character is like, I don't want to give this up. She's already old. Elizabeth's already old. I'm not going to do this 7-day thing anymore. I'm just going to keep pulling more and more fluid from her back until she starts rotting.
That's the thing. So you're supposed to pull a bit of fluid that's supposed to last for you. And then she just keeps doing it
over and over and over and over again.
She leaves Demi in the coma state, not really feeding her. And it just gets worse and worse for her as she keeps waking up. Dude,
the crazy thing is Elizabeth wakes up after the finger thing happened, and she was like pissed, and she was like, I want to be done with this. And they're like, oh, well, we can't reverse what's already happened. Once you complete this, if you do want to finish it, you will remain as you are.
Right.
You will not revert to your previous appearance. So she's like, okay, fuck this. I'll keep doing this thing. So she realizes though, the worse this keeps getting, that Sue keeps treating her.
Yeah.
She still doesn't want to change it. She doesn't want to go back because she knows that she's being neglected and she's being mistreated. But at this point, like this is her only hope, I guess. She views in her own mind that she's going to be able to live her best life.
And the best is when this thing just completely goes off the rails. And it does in such a great way. And that was
fucking hard, man. So fucking hard.
So fucking bad.
Right off the rails, in the deep end, swimming to the bottom, and just drowns itself.
And it was just a beautiful mix of, like we would say, it was a beautiful mix of The Thing. It was a beautiful mix of The Fly. And it just had so many crazy things that happen at the end of that movie that bring it to there. And then it's just, I don't know, man. It's like I thought the way they handled that was so good. It was so well handled. And all of it was practical. There was no CGI in the movie, I don't think, or at least not, if it was CGI, it was just enhancements, but it was very like that creature was very practical. And
in terms of the creature. Yeah. So to preface that a little bit, so up to this point, we realize that Sue, her fame is continuing to grow. She's this huge thing. And she, as we said, she's neglecting to do the required switches. So she's leading to a very dangerously prolonged period in her new form.
Yeah.
And they're both going to be negatively impacted by this whole thing. And Elizabeth's body is starting to age so fucking rapidly that she's basically like an old decrepit woman, but almost creature-esque.
She's like a crypt keeper at one point.
Crypt keeper, almost half, Jeff Goldblum's The Fly a little bit. She's almost there. But she has this New Year's Eve special that she's been required to be a part of. She's this huge star now. So she's, I got to do it, right? She gets to work, and much like it reminded me so much of The Fly, where she's got teeth falling out, and she's supposed to be on live TV, and she's like, so she says, fuck this, I have to go home. And what she does is she ran out of the serum that she was supposed to be using, because she did everything she was supposed to do wrong. Yeah. So she goes back home, and she decides to just basically, she's going to take this last ditch effort serum. And this is after, she already had killed Elizabeth. This is this whole fight thing that happened, which, by the way, dude, that fucking sequence was pretty badass and brutal, man.
Yeah, no, it really was. And there was also a scene, I'm sure you caught this, where I think it's when she had lost her tooth and her mouth was all fucked up. She's covering her mouth, and she's in the hallway, and she's just trying to get to the bathroom. And you have that scene where it's all the men,
all the old men with white hair,
creepy men, and just looking at her like she's a piece of fucking meat. And they just like, and it's just so well done. And Quaid's there, and you're just like,
the Harvey character's like, well, smile. You're supposed to smile, and then does the little fake grin when she doesn't show her teeth.
And it's just all that. And my wife worked in radio, and my wife has her own company now, and she does her own thing, and she's very much her own, she's her own boss, and she works in great teams now. But there was a time when she was working in radio, and she was in her early 20s, and she told me, I can't wait for her to see this movie, because some of the moments she described how she felt when she was in a room full of men that made decisions. I felt like that was a reflection of how she felt, that she had lived that moment many times. And so many women in the corporate world that, unfortunately still a lot of it is run by men, at least in broadcasting was here. They felt like that, where they've just felt like, they've aged out, or they're just, they're young, and they're still dictated, where they go is still dictated by a room full of men. And it was just such a powerful scene, and they'll give us a smile. And she's like, but man, it's, from there, it just goes right through the fucking roof.
Right through the roof. Right off into the deep end, as crazy as it possibly can. And you know what? We're going full spoiler, but at the same time, I don't want to give away the entire thing. Honestly.
No, for sure.
So I will say that, when Sue takes her last ditch effort, rather, to, I don't know what she's thinking. Obviously, she's not going to be able to do this New Year's Eve special, but when she injects herself, we will call it a monstrosity, because that's what it fucking is. Absolutely. There's something you see that melds itself together, and it is, I would dare say, Jason, some of the best practical effects work that I've seen, not just this year, but in a long fucking time.
And that's why I think I had the same feelings I had when I saw, when I saw The Thing, and when I saw The Fly. It had that same kind of vibe where this is so preposterous and crazy and terrifying, but at the same time hilarious and stupid, that it was just everything all in one, and it was great. And even a bit of Reanimator. Even a bit
for sure.
Even a bit of Reanimator vibe, not just the serum, but it harkened back to a time where movies were really creative and fun and out there.
So the movie, I'm sure you'll agree with me on this. This is where I think we will definitely agree in this perspective, is that the movie, tonally, it stays the same, but it doesn't, but it still feels even. It goes.
Oh, yeah.
It
works.
It goes for the fences. It goes all the way, but it still doesn't it could jump the shark, but the movie doesn't go so far off that I think that it'll make people get pissed and leave. I did hear one other film critic as they were leaving that said I liked everything about it till the end. So there's going to be those people that maybe possibly, but for me and you and us being unknowing viewers, that this is how far they're going to go with this. I was just like astounded and like sitting there like a little kid with a huge grin on my face, like, thank you for doing this. No one ever does this, and no one's going to expect it because none of it's in the trailer. It's not spoiled at all. It's just they fucking knock it out of the park and go crazy with this.
Yeah, and they take chances and they go for it. And it's so true what you said, but it still works as a body of work. It's still even the whole way through, in the sense that it doesn't take away from the story how crazy they go with all those, they go really, I mean, they really go far, but it makes complete sense because, from the beginning to the end, this is what she's trying to do. Like, she's trying to get away from who she is, except she just goes so fucking far, man. And maybe she's trying to get back something or just change, but I mean, if she wanted to change, she definitely got it.
Well, there's a whole part of this that the point of view is, once you do a lot of these things that are now society norms, there's no going back. There are things you can do that will fade or what have you, but when you take these extreme things into consideration for your body, your looks, your face, and things like that, surgeries, a lot of it doesn't go away, or it's irreversible, if you will. So the movie captures that in a huge way. I say a huge way, in the most insane fucking nutty way that you could ever imagine on screen. So that's why I absolutely have to say to our listeners, if you've listened through this whole thing and you haven't seen the movie, go fucking see it. Absolutely go fucking see it. But that's why this is one of the biggest surprises I think of the entire year. I thought the trailer looked good. I thought it looked really, really good when the cast and the people involved. But this movie just, it said, you know what? Fuck it, I'm going to go there. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And either you're going to go with me on this journey and you're going to be there along the way from start to finish, or you're not. And I love the balls that it has. This movie just doesn't give a shit.
No, and that's what I was saying to you about the Cronenberg vibes, like especially the Brandon Cronenberg vibes. Like,
sure,
Infinity Pool is, you've seen Infinity Pool, right?
Absolutely, we reviewed it on the show. Yeah,
right. So Infinity Pool gives you their logic of how this is going to work, And spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Infinity Pool, we're going to talk about it a bit, or at least I am. There's an explanation on how listen. You're going to go on vacation and you're going to be able to have another version of yourself. So it's kind of a similar kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to give you, this is our explanation of how the science works. That don't fucking ask again. This is how it works. And it's going to be fucking nuts. And it's fucking crazy. So that's why I kind of had that vibe. And I was like, I love, and Infinity Pool ended up being one of my favorite movies of that year because they went there. They took the chance and they said, fuck it, we're going to go there and we're going to be preposterous and we're going to go crazy, but we're going to still kind of give you a message in this movie that is very relevant to everyday life. And that's exactly what I found that they did with this. It was I had the same kind of feeling when I left a screening. Cause I saw, again, Infinity Pool, I saw fairly early too. And I was like, are people going to like this? Didn't end up having the same impact I thought it would, but I think this will.
Absolutely. I think this, or I hope at least, this will resonate as far and as deeply as it possibly can, because it has a lot to say. But even on the surface level, it's a great fun time. It has a lot going on. Amazing. Again, like I said earlier on the show, and I am not just being hyperbolic here. Demi Moore has done a huge body of work in terms of her acting career, but this is probably one of her craziest, deepest performances ever. Margaret Qualley, again, she's still an up-and-comer. She's still doing her thing, but fucking brilliant. And Dennis Quaid, apparently lately, he was just in the Reagan movie. He's good at playing slime balls, man. That's for sure. He just chews scenery and chews shrimps and, like total absolute prick in this movie. Listen, I love him in Jaws 3D, so keep giving him parts. Give him parts.
Well, he's one of these guys that he's had so many careers, like he's been He's 70 now. It's just looked at. He's 70, man. 70 years
and
old.
his kid's crushing it too. His kid's crushing it.
No,
You know,
come on. But he's really, really, really a great. He's a great addition to this movie because he really adds. He adds what you need. You need that guy who is just an absolute piece of shit that drives the narrative. You know, that just says, okay, this is the reason why she needs to do something like this because there's people like this in her life that make her feel this big. You know.
absolutely.
So no, it's great, and it's so over the top, and like the way, you know, she's handed her exit box and all the and the hallway and all that stuff is just
the hallway
so,
with
like,
all the photos, and then
and then when, you know, when Sue gets in that hallway, there's just one because she's just starting, and but it's it's great. So I definitely think anyone that is a fan of your show for sure, who probably comes here to hear reviews of stuff that's a little off center are going to love this. Definitely.
So it's time for our final thoughts and trash it or treasure it. So I'm going to throw it to you first, Jason. Obviously we're already there, so you've already been giving your final thoughts, but anything else you want to say? And are you going to trash this or treasure it?
Oh no, man. I will definitely treasure it. I will tell people that, and it's one thing we didn't talk at all about really is the sound design. And sound design of this movie is brilliant. So definitely see it in theater if you can. If you don't have a cinema that's close to you, go make the effort of seeing it on the big screen if you can, because it's worth it, because the sound design is fucking loud and brutal, and it's just like it's there, man. It's right there in your face.
Yeah, and lockstep with you, I'm gonna treasure it as well. The score by Rafferty. So I looked up Rafferty. I was not aware of Rafferty. Prior, I mean, obviously I've probably heard their stuff or whatever in other movies and just in passing or whatever, but the score here is so synth heavy, and I'm such a big synthwave guy. I love dark synth. I love, all of that shit so much. Massive fan of all that stuff. I know you're friends with some of the same people that I love that do that stuff and all that too. So when I heard the score, I was like, oh man, it's like, it's fantastic stuff. So the sound design, absolutely fantastic. And the cinematography by Benjamin Kraken, gorgeous movie to look at. Yeah, especially I was trying to look up the budget for this thing. Usually with movies that aren't out yet, it's hard to find that, but I would have to think this movie had a relatively small budget, and for what it was, man, it looked just absolutely like prestigious, like gorgeous locations.
Mm-hmm.
I know what we were talking about CGI earlier. I know her, Elizabeth's apartment was a practical set, and that it was a green screen behind the windows, obviously.
Sure, of course.
But whatever. Great production design.
I mean, it's used. I think when they use it for things like that, I'm okay with.
Yeah,
it's just when they use it for something that's moving around, and that is an integral part of the story, like all of those fucking Warner movies that had horrible villains in them, superhero films, like. Guys, no, nobody wants to see that anymore. We want to see real stuff that we can actually feel like we could touch. Yeah. And it's like,
or get killed by.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like I'm not buying any of this stuff. It's just a big digital mess. But no, I like when a film uses it for what it needs to use it for. Like, okay, we might not be able to shoot on location in the Hollywood Hills and have like, an actual billboard and all that, but we're going to simulate it it's fine.
Well, dude, also, we have a bunch of practical sets here. Obviously, the workout set that Elizabeth and her version of that show does, and then of course Sue's version of that show does. The Office that Dennis Quaid's character, Harvey, he has. That's it's this brand new, very modern, chic, very annoyingly like over the top. Fuck, it looks almost like what you would consider like a almost Egyptian style. It's gold everywhere and like these weird designs, everything. So a lot of practical sets were utilized, and then walking down the street on practical locations. So the majority of the movie is practical, almost I would dare say 95% of it. And then that as we called it, the monstrosity, the creature. I guarantee it has a name. I guarantee the production had a name for that thing. I would love to know what it was called.
I'm curious to know what they call that.
I mean, because, I'm sure... dude, let's just say before we finish that thing, you see Elizabeth's face for real coming through the back end of that thing, and then another face, and then another arm, and it's just I dare say maybe some of the best practical effects in terms of creature effects. I can't even think of the last movie that I saw stuff that was this over the top and crazy that worked for me this well. So I don't want to go any further or deeper than that till people see it, because they're like, oh, you already ruined the whole fucking movie for me. But
yeah, I know.
But you already said it though perfectly, man. The Thing, The Fly, Reanimator. I mean, it harkens back to a lot of the stuff we love from the 80s so much. And whoever performed the full, the suit and was in there and did the whole thing, bravo. Absolutely bravo to that.
So far it's picked up at the Cannes. It picked up Best Screenplay. Won Best Screenplay, and at TIFF it won the People's Choice Award for Midnight Madness. So it's already collecting shit, which is great. It's collecting hardware.
I hope it collects a healthy box office. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this episode and you haven't seen the movie, thanks for listening, but also go see the movie. And if you've seen the movie, thanks for checking out the review. And once again, Jason, thanks for coming on the show. Let our listeners know where they can find you, man. What do you do? What is your thing?
Rockman Power Hour. That's our podcast. You can find us there. You can find me on Instagram at The Real Jason Rockman. Simple as that. I usually answer DMs. I love to talk about movies, and thanks for having me on, man. I love, as you know, I'm a fan. I'm an EFG fan, and I love being able to
so sweet of you.
I love being able to come on and chatting with you, man. It's always fun to talk about this stuff with someone who shares the passion like I do. The only other person I know who likes movies as much as you is probably our common friend Maurice, because I can shoot the shit with him about this stuff for hours. But yeah, no, it's always nice to come on here, man. And I love what you guys do. I really do. Both you and Jeremy absolutely kill it. So.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that very much so. And so our listeners know where they can find us. We are all over social media at Epic Film Guys, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. We're everywhere, and every single podcatcher known to man. Hope you guys see this movie. Make sure you get out and see it. It's not a super wide release in the US, but it's out there. A theater near you is playing it somewhere, so go out. Pay the price of admission. Check this movie out. You will not be sorry. You will have a great fucking time either way. And like we already said, it has a lot to say, and it's still got great entertainment value. Go see The Substance. That's it for this episode of the Epic Film Guys and our brand new Fresh Fright review of The Substance. I would love to once again thank Jason Rockman for coming on the show and guesting and crushing this shit. Thanks again, bro. Always a pleasure, man.
Always, man.
But as we always like to say, we ask you to keep it creepy.